On June 6, 1980, at exactly 3:30 in the afternoon, the weather was wild. The wind was howling, and the rain was pouring down in sheets like ropes falling from the sky. In the middle of that storm, a 57-year-old man decided to leave his house to pick up a few things. His wife tried to stop him and said, "Come on, honey, don't go out. The weather's awful." But he shook his head and replied, "I'm not going far, just grabbing a couple of things from the supermarket right around the corner." Now pay close attention, because what happened next is very strange, and we need your help in the comments to figure it out. Remember, he was only going to the store next door, but over an hour passed, and he still hadn't come back. Worried, his wife went out looking for him, but he was nowhere to be found. Night fell, and there was still no sign of the man. His wife had no choice but to call the police, and she did. The investigation began, and the first suspect was actually his wife, the one who reported him missing. Why? Because she was the last person to see him. The police even suspected that she might have kidnapped him and was hiding him somewhere. And what made them so suspicious? They discovered that he never even entered the supermarket in the first place. 5 days passed, and the whole town was in turmoil, searching for any clue, until the police got a call from a man named Trevor Park. He told them he'd found a body at the place where he works. The police rushed to the location Trevor mentioned, and sure enough, they found a body. It was the same man who disappeared that stormy day. Now you might think that's the end of the story, but the real twist, the story didn't really begin until they found the body. From that moment on until 2005, new stories kept popping up, all somehow connected to this case. Because the body they found wasn't normal at all. The place where it was discovered, the way it ended up there, and every strange little detail surrounding it, none of it made sense. It drove the investigators crazy. Everyone was convinced that this man didn't die a normal death. Things only got weirder not long after, when something completely bizarre happened to the officer who examined the body, something almost impossible to believe. At that point, it became clear to everyone, whoever killed this man wasn't human. The story begins with a man named Zygmunt Jan Adamski. He was born in 1923 in a small village in eastern Poland. His life was simple, nothing out of the ordinary. He came from a poor family and grew up in harsh conditions. Zygmunt was raised in an environment shaped by the strict laws of the Soviet Union at the time, and because of that, he didn't have many options when he got older. Like many others, he ended up working in a coal mine. Back then, coal was everything. It was the fuel that powered the era, and the Soviet Union was all about it. So at just 15 years old, he started working in a coal mine near his home. When he turned 33, he decided to start a family and got married. But after 4 years of marriage, he gave in to the harsh reality around him. He made the difficult decision to leave Poland and move to England, hoping for a better life. In 1961, he moved and settled in a small town in Yorkshire. But as fate would have it, he couldn't find any other kind of work, so he went back to doing what he knew best, working in a coal mine. He kept that job for 19 more years, until the day everything changed, June 6, 1980. On that day, as I told you earlier, Zygmunt left his house to run a few errands. But after that, he completely vanished. No one saw or heard from him again until 5 days later, when his body was discovered near a coal mine on the outskirts of Yorkshire. The man who reported the body was named Trevor Park, the son of the factory owner where the mine was located. And that's when things got weird. Trevor said he spotted the body from his father's office window overlooking the yard. He insisted that if he hadn't been looking from that high angle, he never would have seen it, and you'll soon understand why. The police arrived on the scene just minutes later, around 4 in the afternoon. They asked Trevor to point them to the body. He led them to a coal heap, more like a small black hill standing over 10 feet tall. This heap was made entirely of loose, powdery coal. Anyone trying to climb it would have left footprints, no question about it. 2 officers climbed up the mound to get a closer look. One of them was named Alan Godfrey, Remember that name, because he becomes important later in the story. The moment they got to the top, both men froze. What they found made no sense at all. Zygmunt's body was just lying there, clean, not a speck of coal dust on his clothes, not even where his back touched the coal. Let me break this down for you. First, his clothes were spotless, which means whoever placed him on that mound didn't drag him. They must have carried him. But the coal was so loose and unstable that even walking up without carrying anything would have left clear tracks, let alone hauling a body. Now sure, maybe they used a machine, like a crane, but the factory guards swore they didn't see or hear anything out of the ordinary. So that leaves the most bizarre possibility. Someone carried the body to the top of the mound, without leaving a single footprint on the coal or the soft dirt around it. That's mystery number one. How did the body end up on top of that coal heap without any trace? Second, when they examined the body, they noticed something strange. Zygmunt's pants were on backward. The front pockets were at the back, and the back pockets were at the front. His shoes were also on the wrong feet. Left shoe on the right foot, right shoe on the left. So what does that tell us? There are two possible explanations. One, either Zygmunt wasn't wearing his clothes when he died, and someone dressed him afterward without knowing how clothes are supposed to go. Two, or someone was in a rush and didn't pay attention. But even in a hurry, it's hard not to notice right from left. Which brings us to mystery number two. Why were his clothes put on all wrong? Third, his facial expression was terrifying. Eyes wide open, jaw locked, face frozen in a look of pure horror. His skin was pale, almost yellow. The autopsy confirmed it. Zygmunt died of a heart attack, just 4 hours before the body was found. Fourth, there were burns, strange ones, on his neck, shoulder, and the back of his head. A gray, jelly-like substance covered the burned areas. To this day, no one knows what that substance was. Scientists couldn't identify it, and the official report literally said the material could not be analyzed, as if someone didn't want us to know. Now here's where it gets even stranger. The coroner discovered that Zygmunt had shaved the day before his death, which means someone helped him groom while he was missing. So he wasn't left alone, he was being looked after. That raises a lot of new questions. Who shaves while they're being held against their will? Why would anyone do that for him? Was he treated kindly, like some sort of guest? Or was it all part of some twisted experiment? None of it made sense. And of course, whenever we run out of logical explanations, we humans do what we always do. We blame aliens. That theory gained even more traction after something else happened 6 months later. On the night of December 18th, 1980, just after midnight, something strange happened to, guess who? Officer Alan Godfrey, the same man who found Zygmunt's body. That night, Alan was responding to reports of cattle going missing from local farms not far from where Zygmunt had lived. He was driving through the fields, searching for clues, when he spotted something strange in the distance. As he got closer, he saw it clearly, a huge bus-sized object hovering about 3 feet off the ground. Alan reached for the radio to call it in, but the signal was dead. Then suddenly, in what felt like the blink of an eye, he blacked out and woke up in a completely different place, 5 kilometers away. He was barefoot. His shoes were sitting neatly beside him on the passenger seat. He looked at the clock. 30 minutes had passed, but he couldn't remember a single second of what had happened. Still shaken, he made his way to the farm. The barn was locked. All the cows were gone. Not a single hoofprint in the mud. From that night on, stories of aliens spread like wildfire through the village. People said they must have abducted Zygmunt. They kept him for 5 days. Maybe they shaved him on day 4. Then on day 5, he finally saw them, and the shock killed him. They put his clothes on wrong, left him on top of the coal mound in broad daylight, without being seen. Some said it was all part of a cover-up. that someone was feeding these stories to the public on purpose. The case was closed and labeled unexplained. Officially, just like that. Years later, in 2005, Zeigman's family revealed that he owed a large sum of money to someone. They believed he was kidnapped and killed by whoever he owed. But by then, Officer Alan Godfrey had already written a best-selling book. He was famous. He stuck to his story until the end. He once said, "Let's say a human did kill Zeigman. Then explain the burns. Explain the gray jelly. Explain why we still don't know what it was." People wanted to believe him, because sometimes the better story wins. As for me, I find it a little too convenient. The same officer who found the body is the same one who saw the UFO. At midnight? In the middle of a cow abduction? Come on. And who helped Alan publish his book? How did a small-town cop become a national author overnight? Maybe, just maybe, someone wanted us to believe in forces bigger than ourselves. What do you think?